And our last question is looking at these linear growth patterns. And we want to be able to explain why something is linear and why that's still a function. So the first question, just this is directly from our Desmos review, is I want you to see how these blocks, right, are changing, are growing. And what I can see is that we have this 2 additional blue blocks on the side. So we can see this pattern of, right, it's growing by these 2 blue blocks. Now, right, we can make a table. So we can have our, and we can, if we want to call these like our building number. And then we can say total number of blocks. If you can write X and Y if you'd like, but I want you to really think about what is it, the input, what is the independent variable, what is the output, what is the dependent variable. And so you can be a little bit more specific than just X and Y if you'd like. And then in Desmos, right, you can add the rows into your table. But what we can start to see, and we'll just do 3 and then we can predict number 4, is that we want to connect the figure, the table, and the equation. So that's why I'm going to make this table. We can see, and I might do this, right? In building 1, we can see this 3 blocks plus 2 blocks, and then we'll call that, right, 5 blocks. In building 2, we can see this 3 blocks plus 4 blocks. And we can see that's, sorry, I don't know why this keeps trying to zoom in, 7 blocks. In building 3, we can see our 3 blocks plus, and then our blue blocks is now 6. And why I'm using these colors is I want you to pay attention to, right, what's staying the same, what's changing. And so this is going to help us to really see these patterns and make these connections. And now we can start to see. So in building 4, we're going to have the 3 red blocks, and then we're going to add, right, those additional 2, right, just like we wrote on in part A, right, those additional 2 blue ones. So that'll be 8, and then that'll give us 11, and we can keep going. So now what we can see is that what would an equation be that models this growth is, well, we can look, remember our change down our Y's, because our change down our X is just 1. So our slope, or the change in Y's over our change in our X's, or our change in our inputs or outputs over inputs, right, is going to be 2, right? We have these positive 2 over 1, which is just 2, right? 2 divided by 1, or 2 in the numerator, 1 in the denominator, is just 2, right? The whole number. And that's our slope. And you can do that by, the y2 minus y1 if you'd like. You can do the formula. But I also want you to be able to see it right in the table. And I can do this kind of plus 1, right? Our change here is just adding 1. Now what I want you to see, so if our equation would be like y equals 2x plus, well, what would be our y-intercept? And you can think about, okay, well, what would building number 0 look like, right? If this is adding 2 as we move to the right, we can think about it as, subtracting 2 as we move to the left. Oops, sorry about that. I hit the wrong piece. I was trying to get the pen, and we want to go all the way to number 4, right? If we build building 0, it would look like, right, just the 3 red blocks, right? We'd take away those blue ones. They wouldn't exist there because we would add them as we moved to the right. And so that's this idea of our B, our starting point, when our y-intercept, the y-intercept, right, is when x equals 0. So that kind of starts, that beginning. And I'm going to erase this. And, or another way to think about it is what's constant, right? What's not changing. And what we can see, what's constant or what's not changing are the red blocks. And that's where we get this here. And maybe I'll color code the slope, right? The slope is the change, and the change from one to the next. So we can see the change as these additional, right? These additional 2 blocks in the picture, or right, and that's where the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 3, right? The 3 is the constant, it doesn't change, it's there in every single one, but the slope, right, is the change. That's that, right? Those additional 2 blue blocks. And so that's what I mean by explain the connections. So I want you to be able to see where the slope is in the table, where the slope is in the equation, which I know you already know that because of the formula, but then also where the slope, right, where we see this idea of slope in the buildings. And so just as I put it in words, I didn't really put it in writing completely. That's what I want you to write in this space, where this not changing is our, make that blue. So this is our y-intercept. And the additional blue blocks, right, is that change in +2, that's our slope. So you can put that in one nice spot, and I'll make some room and do that outside of the recording. And then so lastly, right, the question is, how do you know this is linear growth? So you can see that the best way to see that is by the constant change. So every time the blocks are just adding 2 each time, right? 2 additional. So I'm gonna. So the constant change means that, right, x is to the first power. If x was to the second power or third or a different power than 1, then that's when we would have not a constant change. We would not have that constant slope. Constant change, the slope. The 2 additional blue blocks to each new building. All right, please let me know if you have questions, if any of this doesn't make sense, and how I can help you to make sense of these ideas. Thanks for watching.